Hi everyone, hope you all are doing fine, my dear students. With just a few days left for CAT, I thought we really need to do this session just as the last bit. I mean, in these last few days, we are just trying to do whatever best we can. So I thought you really need to understand some tricky questions that can come in CAT 2025 and then the techniques to decode them. Here we are going to discuss 10 questions taken from CAT 2024 ka 3 slots, and I will just show you what these questions in a simplified form mean. Okay, so without further ado, I'm taking you over to these. इसके बाद आपका दिमाग बिल्कुल ही अनजम्बल हो जाएगा, क्लैरिटी आ जाएगी गजब तरीके की. चलिए देखते हैं. So the first one says what? The first one here is, which of the following statements provides the gist of this passage? Gist simply means crux. It means essence. It means main idea. So whether you see this word or this over here, it is asking you for the same thing. And connected with this is another type that says primary purpose. Primary purpose is connected with the main idea, though slightly different. So for main idea, what do? We look at the first and last paragraph. We try to understand what his point is. Okay, I mean, mudda kya hai, essence kya hai. So that is main idea. And if the question says primary purpose, we take the main idea and then we also take the first line of every paragraph. This flow plus main idea gives us primary purpose. But here today I just wanted you guys to understand that ye jo gist hai, this is not related to mist or pist or anything. It simply means essence. This is clear. Move on to the next one. Now, from the same year, in one of the slots, we got a passage on arts. And it was like, we can infer from the passage that medieval crafts guilds are what? Associations, groups, resemble mass production in that both. If we decode it, it simply means this. Medieval crafts guilds, okay, medieval crafts guilds. This was one thing. Resembled mass production. Mass production was another thing being mentioned in the passage. So there was a paragraph in which this comparison was made. Okay, resembled is comparison, similarity, right? In that both. The moment it says both, it means you're looking for the similarity point. I mean, in that same paragraph, the author could have given you the similarity as well as the difference between the two. But then the moment he says that both, you are looking for similarity. Had the question read this way, we can infer from the passage that medieval crafts guilds differed from mass production in that the former or the latter, then you could have taken the difference and then highlighted that. So former or latter क्या है? Former is this जिसका जिक्र पहले हुआ है. Latter is this जिसका जिक्र बाद में हुआ है. Hope this is clear, guys. Okay, so this is a similarity wala question. Or anyway, when you're reading your passage, if you come across a paragraph in which there is some kind of comparison, be it similarity or difference, that is more often than not going to be a question pocket. A question pocket is where a question is asked. All right, the next one. The most recent revival in interest in the crafts, I think this was from the same passage, is a result of the emergence of all of the following except. Now, uselessly, they make these question stems long and then the student kind of gets confused. So what are you supposed to do here? पूछ क्या रहा है ये? Simple. पहले तो except है. Except means all and then one. So ये true false type का है. The most recent revival in interest in the crafts. ये. This was the main thing being discussed. Recent revival. Right? ये हो गया किसका? Hero ka, heroine ka, Bollywood ka? No, it was about crafts. So recent revival of crafts, okay, is a result of what? So we are looking for reasons, we are looking for causes, we are looking for factors. So simply put, this is asking you for the reasons and that must be given in one paragraph. Result of the emergence of all. So this was the reason, this was the reason, this was the reason. One was not the reason. Right? Okay. The next one. Which one of the following statements is not inconsistent? You see double negatives. Let's decode it. कैट ने तो जैसे बेड़ा उठा लिया है कि हम स्टूडेंट्स को कंफ्यूज करके रहेंगे, और मैंने भी बेड़ा उठा लिया है कि मेरे आरसी वाले स्टूडेंट्स का मैं सब कुछ सिंप्लीफाई करके ही रहूंगी. Which one of the following statements is not inconsistent with the views stated in the passage? Views stated in the passage. Some things are given in the passage. Not inconsistent, right? Simple अगर उसको आप decode करें तो it becomes consistent. Which one of the following statements is consistent with the views? Right? इसको एक और तरीके से दिखाती हूँ मैं आपको. Which one of the following statements is inconsistent? इसको पहले आप हटा दो. Which one of the following statements is inconsistent? Inconsistent, inconsistent, inconsistent. Right? Inconsistent is false, false, false. Right? अब ये कह रहा है which one of the following statements is not inconsistent with the views. So 3 are inconsistent, 1 is not inconsistent, so it is going to be consistent or true. Right? This is what I said. Not inconsistent, double negatives, उसको आप positive कर सकते हो. So which one of the following statements is consistent with the views stated in the passage? So we are playing the game of true false again over here. बस confuse करने के लिए they gave you in this language. Done. Question number 5. Which one of the following statements, if true, would best invalidate the main argument of the passage? Critical reasoning questions can actually stump out quite a few of you. But let me just simplify this for you. So what is this saying? Which one of the following statements, if true? If true simply means hypothetically. The options may or may not be given in the passage. If true, मान लो अगर ऐसा है तो. If you're arguing with your friends में से क्यों माने भाई क्यों माने, यहाँ पे आप ये नहीं बोल सकते हो क्यों माने भाई क्यों माने, आपको मानना पड़ेगा. Why? Because cat is telling you मान ले. Right? Would best invalidate. Invalidate is weaken. Weaken is undermine. यहाँ पे एक चीज का ध्यान देना. There is another word that is given sometimes in questions, that is underscore. Underscore is not the same as undermine. Many students get confused between these two words. Underscore is highlight. Weaken and undermine is invalidate. So यहाँ कह रहा है which of the following statements, if true, would weaken the main argument of the passage? Main argument is main idea. For this, you need to first take out the main idea, that's the crux, essence, gist. You take that out and then you weaken it. You have to go against it, right? So this is a simple, a normal critical reasoning strength and weaken question. Okay, next one, question number 6. Which one of the following statements about art best captures the arguments made in the passage? Now, the moment the student sees arguments, he thinks it's a critical reasoning question, so I need to look for some hypothesis, some claim, some argument, some conclusion. Nothing doing. This question is simply asking you about art best captures the arguments made in the passage. Simply put, main idea. You got it? See, in the whole passage, art is being discussed. Best captures the arguments made in the passage. In every paragraph, he's not going to come up with a different argument. So overall, he will give you like examples, points, supporting points, weakening points, some kind of critique, etc. And then he's going to drive home a point. He's going to conclude something about art. That conclusion is the main idea. So the last paragraph will contain that point in the form of a conclusion. The first para will contain that point in the form of main idea as the introductory thing. But overall, that's the argument. So captures the arguments made in the passage doesn't mean you have to look for various arguments. No. About art best captures the arguments, best shows you the main idea discussed in the passage. Clear? Question number 7. Based on the passage, we can infer that the author would most probably support. Infer is cool. You have done umpteen number of times with me. Inferential questions. So we can infer, we can understand, we can suggest, we can state, right? The passage implies, so wo bhi infer hai, right? But the main thing is here. Based on the passage, we can infer that the author would support. As the first step, if you ever see this question, start looking for the conclusion based on everything the author would support. For that, you need to know what the author says. The author would say a lot of things in the passage, but in the last paragraph, the author is going to sum up something. Art should be promoted or not. Museums should keep other countries' arts or not. There should be repatriation thing, art should be returned to the parent country or whatever. So yeah, there has to be some kind of claim that is being given by the author in the end, his opinion. So as the first step, look for the conclusion in the last para and then connect it with the first para, right? You got it? Sometimes it so happens that this question may contain options that are taken from different paragraphs. Infer that the author would most probably support. This is from the second para, this is from the fourth para, this is from the first, this is from the fifth. In that case, what is this question asking you to do? Simply put, true and false. You got it? So would most probably support, you are looking for one true and the others are false. But these are connected with different paragraphs. So I have given you two situations connected with this question. All the best. Next one. Okay, in the context of the passage, the people who heard the story of pepper trees being guarded by snakes would be least likely to arrive at the conclusion that. Now, in the context of the passage means based on what the passage is saying. The people who heard the story of pepper trees, there was a passage on spices in CAT 2024. This is from there. So, who heard the story of pepper trees being guarded by snakes would be least likely to. Do you see this here? That means you need to first go and understand what that portion was about the story of pepper trees. Okay? Once you go and get the points from there, on that basis, the people who heard the story of this would be least likely to arrive at the conclusion that. Now, in this question, the question setter has tried to confuse you completely by giving you too many things. Would be least likely to. Okay? Would be. Likely bhi nahi, least likely to, and then conclusion. So what are we looking for? Simple. The people who heard the story of pepper trees, okay, would not agree that. I'll write here for you. Would, would ki spelling to dekho, would not agree to this. So which one? Right? Now let me decode it step by step for you. The people who heard the story of pepper trees being guarded by snakes would be, first go and read that portion. On the basis of that, would be least likely to conclude, right? Arrive at the conclusion can be simplified as conclude. Conclude means agree. Agree means infer, right? So, would be least likely to conclude means they can conclude this, they can conclude this, they can conclude this, least likely to conclude. Simple language mein, this is going to be true, true, true. We are looking for one that is false. Now, this is not going to be a straight game of true, false, but I have shown you over here. First, go and read that portion. On the basis of that portion, whatever information you get, on the basis of that, you have to understand that these people who hear the story of the snakes around the pepper tree would conclude or not. What would they agree with? What would they support? So the question says would be least likely to conclude what? So they will agree with 3 points. They will not agree with 1 point. Got it? That was a mouthful. Now, question number 9. We can assume that the author would support all of the following. I hate this. I don't know why they have to put this just to confuse the students. They can simply say, we can say that. We can understand that. We can infer that. वहां तक भी चलेगा. जबरदस्ती डाला assume. स्टूडेंट वहीं पे सोचने लग गया ये तो assumption question है, मैं नहीं कर रहा ये वाला. मैम ने बोला था assumption question takes time. बच्चों, this is not assumption. So बच्चों, this is what? This is simply infer, understand, say. Okay, we can say that the author would support. Simple language में the question is focusing on this. The author would support. Yes, yes, yes. support, 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 true, 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 right? Except, no, there is one that he would not agree with and we are looking for that, right? So the author would support all of the following views except. Even in this question, it can be of two types. One, connected with the conclusion. So जहां भी आपसे पूछे author would, author का viewpoint, as the first step, check the conclusion in the last para. That can solve your problem, okay? Otherwise, you need to go and check the options. If the options are connected with different paragraphs, again, you're going to play true false का खेल यहाँ पर. Is it clear, guys? Ha! And the last one, question number 10. कितना लंबा सा question है. Which one of the following statements, if false, would be inconsistent? Now, many people get confused with this. First things first, there is nothing called if false. When we talk about critical reasoning, even in GMAT, it is always if true. If true means hypothetically. ठीक है? Assuming this to be true. यहाँ पे ये भी डाल सकता है. Which of the following statements, assuming to be true? Assuming देखते ही फिर assumption पे नहीं निकल लेना आप. Simply put, that is if false या if true. If true हुआ. यहाँ पे if false, what does it mean? It's just a way that CAT tries to confuse its students. So what are we going to do in such a case? Change it to if true. When you change it to if true, here inconsistent means weaken, we change it to support. I repeat, inconsistent means weaken, undermine, bring it down, right? And so inconsistent hai, we change it to support. So if the question says, like it did in the previous one, if true, kahan gaya wo if true wala? Support all, no. Here, question number 5. If true, you don't need to change anything, right? But if the question says if false, जो CAT आजकल बहुत देता है, simply change this to if true, bring it down to that level, and then change the other one. If it says would be supporting, you change it to weaken. If it says would be inconsistent, you change it to support. So, what is it saying? Which of the following statements, if true, would support the concerns raised in the passage regarding what? The drivers of carnivore-human conflict. Drivers, this is another confusing word. Drivers means triggers, right? Catalysts, factors, causes, reasons. Got it? So the claim is given here itself. What were the reasons of carnivore-human conflicts? That means in the passage, the author has asserted that carnivore-human conflicts were caused because of this. Some 3-4 reasons must be scattered there. You need to go and check which of the following statements would support the concerns raised regarding this. ठीक है? So if false would be inconsistent, if false would weaken, change it to if true would support, and then drivers का मतलब ये reasons है यहाँ पर. I hope this is clear, everybody. That brings me to the end of this short and crisp session. I sincerely hope you have understood how to decode these questions. All the very best for your test. ऐसा कोई ना कोई question तो आपको दिखेगा ही test में. So you know, when you see the question stems, you should have that ability to decode it in a split second. Why? Otherwise, it's going to take a lot of time. So keep doing the practice and I'll see you in another session. Thank you so much.